name's Anna Kruger, and the reason I'm teaching this webinar today is I have been an inside sales agent, and I'm kind of assuming everyone here knows what an inside sales agent is, but I will identify that real quick. But I've been an inside sales agent since 2006, and I've been a manager of ISAs, I've hired ISAs, I have fired ISAs, and I have coached people who lead ISAs for a long time, since 2008. So I've really peeked behind the curtain to see what works, what doesn't work. And my goal today is to help prevent issues for you. So teach you some of the things I learned that caused ISAs to leave, either through my own experience or teams I've coached, what I've heard from them. I've also have a Facebook group with over 6,000 people in there. And I think because I'm the anonymous internet person, they message me all the time with, I'm thinking of leaving my team because. So I really hear a lot from ISAs about what is not working in their opinion. So we're going to talk about that today. So get something to take notes. And at the end of today, I will share with you a little bit about where you can find more training like this, because we do have a class starting in 2 weeks. So I'll briefly touch on that, and then I'll open it up for Q&A. And the goal is that we will finish by 11:20 Central Time. So this will be a quick 20-minute webinar, and then we'll get you back into your day. All right. So real quick, an inside sales agent, that is the person on the team whose primary role is lead generation, lead conversion. So that is their one thing. It doesn't mean that they don't go to meetings or other things, but they're not out working with clients. Their one thing is lead generation, lead conversion. I'm curious to just know the audience here. Who here is an inside sales agent, or maybe you want to lead inside sales agents? Let me know in the chat box. That would be helpful. Oh, Patty, I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. I just see your question. I live in Greenville, South Carolina, but I am on vacation in Wilmington. Okay, Lindsay is an ISA. Awesome. So Lindsay, this can also be good for if you're thinking of one day maybe leading a department of inside sales agents. This is great to file away for the future. John, looks like you're thinking about hiring an ISA. This will help you to set it up correctly. So great. Yeah, so keep typing in what your role is and what prompted you to be interested in today's topic. But I want to share with you the number or the top 2 reasons why I hear people leaving inside sales teams. And I will also say, I have felt these things. I have been an inside sales agent for a long time. I would leave a team over these 2 things. So this isn't people being victim-y. It's not, oh, just a negative mindset. Like, these are legit things for why people would leave a team. So the first thing is, number 1, treating the role as less than it is. In other words, treating the role as entry level. How many of you have heard that the ISA role is entry level? I'm hoping no one says yes, because that means we've worked really good and the culture has changed. But that is common. When I started in 2013 in real estate inside sales, that's when I transitioned into this field. It was like, that was the entry level position. Almost nobody does it. And they acted like the goal was to get out of it as fast as possible. But how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Anybody? Y'all look frozen again, but I'm trusting you can hear me. At any time, tell me in the chat box if you cannot hear me, okay? But the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, when you read that book, Gary talks very clearly that the role of lead generation, lead conversion is the first domino to the rest of the business. Now, we're not saying that it's more important than other roles, right? If we lead generate all day long and we do not have operations helping keep things organized, that's going to be a disaster, right? If we don't have people actually working with the clients, that's going to be a disaster. But can we all just agree, if we don't first have solid lead generation, lead conversion, we won't have anything to operate, right? We're not gonna have any clients to serve. So all roles are important, and this is the one that has to be mastered first, this one, because it feeds everything else in the business. And so for that reason, it just doesn't make logical sense that we would hire an inside sales agent and then treat it as entry level, because we are hiring them to do the first domino that will feed the entire rest of the business. Does that make sense to everyone? So what makes it seem entry level? So let's talk about that for just a minute. I was on a team. If you've been on this webinar before, you've heard this story. So just act like you've never heard it before. Jay, you might be the one who's heard this. I feel like you're in every webinar, which is awesome. But I was on a team of agents. There were 7 agents, and I was the only inside sales agent. And they said one day, our job is more respectable than yours. And honestly, I had to take 24 hours before I talked to them about it because I was mad. Wouldn't you be mad if someone said to you, my job's more respectable than yours, right? That was really tough to hear because as an inside sales agent, my whole goal was to help them achieve their goals. So I viewed it as I will succeed as the agents succeed. And to hear the people I was serving say they were more respectable. Now, if I'm honest, that shows some pride on my part, right? If I had a truly humble spirit, that just wouldn't have bothered me. So hopefully I've grown in that area. But at the time, that really bothered me. Well, I asked them, well, what makes you say that? And they said, well, on our team, we hire people to start off as ISAs. And then once they've done that for 90 days, they're eligible to become a buyer agent or a listing agent. So it's the entry point position. And hearing that, I was like, oh my gosh, we've created this ourselves. No wonder it's seen as entry level. So what some teams do is they will hire an inside sales, or they will hire people to start off doing nothing but lead generation, lead conversion, with the idea that's the primary skill you have to be good at. When you can convert leads over the phone, you can definitely convert leads in person, right? How many of you have seen that as agents? It's the hardest conversion is over the phone. You do that well, you're going to be able to do it in person. So what we actually were meaning was you can do this job, you can do anything. But the way we talked about it made it sound like do this for a little bit and then you can go do something else. See this small difference there? And it was all just in how we talked about it. So what we started doing is we started saying, everyone who is new on our team in a sales position can start off as an agent in training, And really, they were doing nothing but lead generation, lead conversion, every sales role. After 90 days, when you have hit all of your 90-day metrics, then you can become an inside sales agent, a listing agent, or a buyer agent. Or maybe on your team, agents work both sides. That's fine too. But that's the idea, buyer agent, listing agent, or inside sales agent, okay? And what we wanted in that then was to then level the playing field of the value of the roles. Is this making sense to everyone? In full disclosure, I'm still on vacation and I've been on vacation for 6 days and I just logged in 5 minutes ago. So I may not make total sense because my brain is at the beach. So let me know if I'm not making sense. Okay, good. Sounds like it's working. All right, so the other thing that we did is my leader, Haro, in Greenville, South Carolina, he got really intentional about when we were in team meetings and an agent said, oh, I just had a closing yesterday, or oh, so-and-so just went under contract. He just got in the habit of saying, write this down, this is so important. He got in the habit of saying, where did that appointment come from? Where did that appointment come from? And what was really cool is he only did that for a little while before they started acknowledging on their own, oh yeah, I had a closing yesterday. Monica set that up for me. She worked for that lead for like 6 months. And so our leader had a lot to do with making sure everyone was receiving recognition. The other cool thing is without asking who worked on it operationally, they also started saying, and Levon, our operations director, did this for the client. So it just kind of changed the whole culture for the leader to say, well, where did the appointment come from? Who else worked on it? And of course, the agent should get praise. They did a lot of work for that client. It's just that they are not the only ones who should be getting praise, right? And so you want to make sure that you dish that out to everyone. So that's number one. It's treating the role as entry level. If you want to lose a talented ISA, treat it like it's an entry level position. And think about it. If you're on this webinar, it's a free training in the middle of the week. You're probably a pretty driven person. I'm just going to make that assumption. Would you want to stay in a role if it was talked about as entry level? Right? And I see a lot of you nodding your heads. No. The other thing is, this is a role that the longer you do it, the better you are. So for me, I know that year 2, I was setting way more than I was the first year. And that was simply because my pipeline had grown. So we really do want to motivate people to stay in this position, build your pipeline, grow, stay. It all feeds and it makes sense to really build this out. Now, we're not saying no one can ever go do something else on the team. Now, Lindsay, you said you're new ISA. You might do this and think, I don't ever want to leave. I love it. Or 2 years from now, you might say, I want to be a buyer's agent. And that's okay. But we're not hiring with the idea that you're leaving as soon as you can. We're hiring with the idea you're going to stay. What I will say to Lindsay, and there might be others of you that are ISAs, but I was an ISA. So Lindsay, I'm just talking to you real quick as an ISA. I never would want to be an agent. And those of you that are agents, I love you. You probably are thinking, I could never be an ISA. But what I love about being an ISA is I have a set schedule and I have unlimited income opportunity. So I'm not writing a contract Sunday at 3:00. I'm not driving anyone around town. Now, some of you wouldn't want a job where you're sitting still all the time, right? That's why we are 18. But I'm telling you, there are people that think to themselves, I would never want to be an agent. If you're sitting there thinking I would never want to be an ISA, go find someone who says that about being an agent and then hire them, okay? All right, the other reason people leave teams, again, a talented ISA, they're going to be driven, they're going to be results oriented. So it would make sense that another reason ISAs leave teams is they do not get feedback on appointments that they set. So how many of you are results oriented people? You like to see what happens because of my work. Yeah, talented ISAs are the same way. You don't want to hire an ISA that doesn't care about results. They're actually not the right fit. You want an ISA who cares about results. And what I frequently hear, and this is incredibly common that I hear in the Facebook group that I lead, they'll private message me and say, I'm thinking of leaving my team because I set all these appointments. Some of them I worked for months to cultivate them. I handed them over to the agent and it's like pulling teeth to get any sort of feedback. Can you see how that would be really just frustrating, right? Now, I will also say for those of you that are ISAs on the call, there's an element where you have to take some ownership in that. So I was the first ISA on my team. So we didn't have any ISA systems. Nobody had ever existed that did my role. And I would complain, I don't ever get feedback. And one day I just thought, you know what? I can either complain about that or I can do something about it. So what can I do to make sure that I get feedback? And what I did is I created a spreadsheet of who did I set the appointment for, what day are they supposed to meet, and what's the name of the client? And that way I would know, oh, it's Thursday. I remember I set an appointment for Anna Wood. Let me go talk to her and see what happened to George. Did he sign? Did he come in? What happened? And that actually started to fix it for my team. In the class mega lead conversion, I provide that spreadsheet. So we do provide that to people that are receiving training. It's in one of the sessions. Lindsay, I see you saying you're first on your team. Any of you that are first on your team, just know you might be the one who has to create systems. You're kind of like the business builder for the ISA department. You're blazing the trail. So you kind of just have to know it probably is going to be messy. They've never had me on the team before. Pay attention to the pain points and start creating systems around it. Okay. And then again, in the class, Mastering Inside Sales, I give you a lot of those systems so you don't have to create them. And that's not the class actually we're talking about today, but that is a class you can take as an inside sales agent that will give you all the systems you need. They're already created. Okay. All right. So if you have an ISA, make sure that you are providing feedback to them in a timely fashion. The other thing that's valuable about that, let's say that they're setting up appointments that maybe aren't converting. They need to know that because without that feedback, they won't know that there's something that needs to be corrected, right? So they need to hear from you. If you say, hey, you set 3 appointments for me this week, or 10 appointments is more like it this week, and of those, 8 of them were not ready. They were over a year out or 6 months out. I need to know that. That's a training opportunity for me to get better. I have to hear that feedback. So it serves you as the agent to tell your ISA what's happening in those appointments. It doesn't just serve the ISA, because as you tell them, they will get better. And as they get better, your quality of appointments will improve. Okay. So those are the top 2 reasons why ISAs leave teams. Top 2 reasons. So again, it's treated as entry level. And then number 2, they do not get feedback on appointment setting. The great thing is both of these things are easy to fix. They're not hard to fix. So now that you know, you can do something about it. So with all of this being said, I mentioned at the beginning of the class that we'll have time for Q&A, and I'll do that in just a second. Also, I would be negligent to not tell you, we have a whole 5-week class on how to hire an ISA. So what are you looking for in this person? Also, how do you keep them? So a lot of people think the class is just hiring an ISA, and that's a small portion. That's about 1/5 of the entire class. The other 4 weeks are really centered around how do you pay them? How do you integrate them in the culture? What are some fun things you can do to keep the culture positive between the agents and the ISAs? What are some reasonable expectations? What's a job ad? I give you a job ad, class 1, and all of that's provided through the class. So that class is called How to Hire, Train, and Retain Inside Sales Agents. Rodrigo, if you wouldn't mind putting the link to that in the chat box. You already are on it. Thank you. Click there. And that class starts in just about 2 weeks, June 15th. Is that right? June 15th is when that class starts. It's a Thursday. Every session is recorded and it is $199 one time. So one time you pay $199. Go ahead and sign up for that today. Because when you sign up last minute, it does create a little bit of chaos on the admin side. And I've been that person. You wait till the last second and then hurry up and sign up, right? But if you already know you want to take that class, if you would just do us a favor and go ahead and sign up today, and that'll give us plenty of time to make sure you're good to go in your client portal and all of the things that you need, okay? Patty, that is a loaded question. When should an agent be hiring an ISA? And that's something we do cover in the class. There's just not enough time to cover that in the time we have left today in this free training, because there's a multitude of factors. So, but that is actually what we cover in class 1 of the How to Hire, Train, and Retain class. Yeah. Oh, good, John. Well, I will see you 2 Thursdays from now. That's awesome. Good. Okay. So let me go ahead and open it up for questions. I said this would be a 20-minute webinar, and we are right at 20 minutes. And I can hang on for another few minutes if you have any questions really around today's topic. So go ahead and let me know your questions. You can unmute yourself, or you could put it in the chat box. The Facebook group, I'll tell you, but truthfully, I'm kind of winding it down. I'm not keeping it as active as I used to, but the group is called ISA Mastermind Group. And I do post when we have classes starting, I do post a lot of announcements in there, but also if you get my emails, you'll see those announcements. So totally join the Facebook group, but just know it's not, I'm kind of trying to wind it down a bit. Good. All right, what other questions do we have, either about the class or today's topic? Lindsay, yeah. I think if you know that one day you want to hire and lead, that would be a good class to take. We have people take it that aren't quite yet ready to hire, but let me give you all a little tip. We do not offer that class very often. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodrigo, but I think the last time we offered that class was about 9 months ago, if I remember correctly. So we frequently have people say, when is that class starting? I'm hiring and I need advice. And then the class is, 9 months away. So if you think that you ever want to hire an inside sales agent, just go ahead and invest in the business, spend the $199 and take the class and just take really good notes. And then when you're ready to hire, you can refer back to those notes and you have everything that you need to make the hire. Also, those of you that already have ISAs, there's a lot in there about culture. There's a lot in there about leadership, expectations, conversion metrics, and that can all be really helpful. Yay, Lindsay, I thought I recognized you. That's great. Do I do individual coaching? I do short-term consulting, and I also am in the MAPS network of coaches. So I think it just depends on what someone wants coaching in. And then that would determine who the best fit is. In full transparency, a lot of people ask me, do you coach full-time? And it's because I teach and you know me through teaching. But that my skill set is strongly towards teaching. Coaching, I'm good for about 3 months, and then it's just not, it's a different skill set. Does that make sense? So that's why I do short-term consulting. So if someone has a very specific thing that needs very specific help and you more want me to tell you what to do, I'm very good at that. I can tell somebody what to do. But if it's long-term business coaching, which I have a coach that I've known now 7 years, and I can't imagine not having her. There's huge value. That would probably be more of a MAPS mastery coach. but I have good ones I can refer to. So I would say just reach out to me with what it is that you need help with or what you're looking for. And then I can tell you, yep, I can help you. Or, ooh, okay, this person's better. You don't know him yet, but you're going to love him. Rich, it's not typical. It doesn't mean, so his question was, we have an ISA who does deals outside of work hours. Is that typical? If you mean taking calls, like I know when I was at home, if the phone rang, I had an app on my phone for Ring Central, which was my work number. And if I wanted to take it, I did. But I didn't, if I was with family, I did not. So if that's what you mean, that is typical that people will answer the phone. A lead's finally calling me back. Let me grab that and handle it. Now, if it's that they are out showing houses or writing contracts, that's not as typical. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but that's not typical.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. He actually, I think it's like his family members or something. He's allowed to go and help them buy a house or sell a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all just team specific. But here's how I look at that. And this is the truth. If you wouldn't mind hit mute because we're getting some background, but if you have something else to say, just you can unmute yourself. If my aunt came to me and said, I want to buy a house, I am a licensed realtor. I have all the legal ability to write a contract, to negotiate. I wouldn't want to because that's going to take a lot of time. And I'm not as good at it. The agents, Michael on our team, when I think it was his first year, had 75 closings, buyer agent closings. That means he has 75 times more experience writing a buyer contract than I am. So my personal opinion is I want a referral fee, like pay me higher for, if it's my friend or family member from my documented sphere, then I'm going to want a higher split on that. Just like if I gave any agent a referral, right? That's typical, but I wouldn't personally want to be the one writing that contract, but that doesn't mean it's wrong or that they shouldn't do it. That's just my personal preference. Patty, with earning potential, we again go really deep into this in the class, how to hire, train, and retain ISAs. We spend about an hour. I'll answer you, but it'll be quick. But it's because there's all different ways you can pay an inside sales agent, and I spend about an hour on that in the class. So it's just, there's no way I can fully answer that in a very short time that we have. But the quick answer is, if they are being paid per closing, well, if I want more money, just have more closings. That's the short answer. So I know several ISAs who make 6 figures or more. They don't ever want to do anything else, and they can keep increasing that as they have more closings. Yeah. Oh, and you're not asking odd questions. They're really, really good questions. And I'm not trying to put you off by saying, oh, it's in the class. But that is why we have the class. It's too complex to answer in a quick webinar. You know what I mean? It's like a whole webinar just by itself. Good. All right. Well, we are at 26 minutes in, and I am going to go ahead and close the webinar. But again, you can go to sparkingprogress.com. That's my personal site, and it has the how to hire, train, and retain ISAs on there. That starts again in 2 weeks. And again, if you would just help us out, if you know you want to take the class, just go ahead and sign up, and that'll give us a little extra time to get you situated. And also in there is the class mastering in, or no, it's not. It's called, we just changed the name. It's called Mega Lead Conversion. That class is also on sparkingprogress.com. All right. I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day.